Hello and welcome to the stream, guys. This is Anna Davis Court. Well, I guess I should open this up. Hi! Welcome to the stream. It's back! Woo! Hopefully we can get... Oh, cripes. This is playing. I get it. Sorry, 1 second. I have to mute myself on the Twitch channel. I always forget stuff like that where I'm just like, oh, I'm listening to music on here and I hear everything through the computer. Anyways, so we are going to jump back into drawing and painting together. How exciting. I am so ready for this. Sorry I've been gone for a while. It is crazy ending the residency. It's been really, really busy. Just like helping out the new residents and going through just everything to try to make it feel complete. I also thought I was going to roll into the new year with a teaching job, but that actually, the timing of it has been switched. So it's a little less pressure now, and that's why I decided, okay, it's time to get back into streaming. That and Kendall was, obviously bugging me about it. So, with a little bit of bullying, here I am. Joking, she's wonderful. Anyways, so one of the new things that I'm hoping to do this year, and I'll probably say it several times throughout the stream so that everybody can hear as they trickle in, I am opening Patreon and going full force into it, actually trying to make something of it. I had a Patreon last year, and I kind of lazily opened it, where it was like I definitely put stuff up and like made content for it, but I didn't put the time in to think about like, okay, is this exactly what everybody wants to see from me? What would I want to see from somebody else? That kind of stuff. I just got an important email. 1 sec. What are you saying? Oh, interesting. Okay. So, yes, what I was talking about is Patreon, and with that is a lot of new content that I'm making for it specifically, and some of the content is stuff that I need, like self-portrait and like little things to put around the page to make it very personalized. So I figured, why not do that with the stream so that you guys can see the behind the scenes. I've been watching a lot of videos about how to like make the best Patreon you possibly can, and I'm so grateful to creators who do that. So I figured, why not, like on the stream, I feel like we could talk about what makes a good Patreon, what kind of stuff you guys like to see from other people if you've never used Patreon, like what it is, obviously, and also just like getting a gauge for what kind of content people like to see from artists, because I actually talked to one of the professionals over at Patreon who does this for a living, and she told me that a lot of what I was thinking of was like teaching content, like teach for artists and make it a lot of the same kind of stuff I would do for SVS-ish. I mean, obviously not exactly the same, but like my own take on it and making it all about learning. She said, honestly, the most, like the vast amount of people who are coming to your Patreon don't do it because they want to learn from you. They're just a fan of you. So make this kind of more of a selfish venture and just talk to your audience and put out what you want to put out rather than teaching what they want. So that was an interesting thing to learn. I just, I always assumed that people wanted to learn, that my audience was students. But finding out that it's not always is kind of cool, because then I can be a little more selfish. I mean, I love teaching, of course, but making all of my side ventures about teaching is kind of exhausting after a while. I don't want to just teach, I want to make. So the goal here is to make some cute little designs of me, and I probably will go through like making a few expressions and poses and stuff, so we'll also work on making her consistent. So if you do have an issue with like making consistent characters, then feel free to ask questions and I can give you tips and tricks about how to make all your little Annas look really Anna-like, if that makes sense. And let's see, okay. Feel free to chat, of course. Talk to me while you're in here, because I'm listening to a little music behind here, so I might go quiet for a little while. But I want to still like involve you guys in the designs and coming up with cool stuff. And if you're new to the room, then you gotta tell me your a Hogwarts house. I was about to say Hufflepuff House because I was, repping Huffle Pride. Yeah, that's right. So I know one of the poses that I want is me like this, and so I could have something above my head for anything that I possibly could use it for. It could be, I think I used this pose once before for like a sale on Society 6 kind of thing. And by the way, I'm also opening an online store eventually. I'm looking into it right now, all the costs associated and all that jazz. It's something that I've wanted to do for a million years, and just haven't had the time to put, or like the money really to put into it. And now I'm just like, all right, this could be the right time because I'm exiting the residency. This is all about launching my personal career and making it as an illustrator on my own. So the goal is to take control a little bit of the numbers and make sure that I can make that happen. I can support myself and my husband because I don't want to live in a box. I just got this fancy computer set up. It's going to be really nice to use it. Anyways. I think I'll keep the hair part consistent on these guys for the most part, unless the design dictates otherwise. I love with hair shapes creating this like asymmetrical kind of shapes within every little flow of it. So like this shape and this shape, having them be counter to each other a little bit, and for every edge to taper, so this shape isn't just one like what am I drawing? It's not just one regularly shaped, that's not what I'm talking about. One regularly shaped thing. I can't stop tapering, sorry guys. Instead it's tapered, and then of course it has like the flowing sides of everything. Sorry, my phone went off, and I always feel like I have to watch out for emergencies when I'm on this. Because if I don't like check it immediately, I completely ignore my phone. Do you guys have that problem? I also have taught myself over this year to reply immediately to things, if possible. Because I am that person who will ignore it all day long if I don't reply immediately. I'm still guilty of doing it, for sure. But I try. And isn't that the most important part? Alright. So I'm going to have this arm kind of squish up this cheek a little bit, so I'm keeping that in mind. And then this one's getting squished from underneath a little bit. By the way, Lizzo came out with a new album today. Whoop whoop. If you listen to her, yay. I think this one will be a closed eye, and then this one might be like an open. It's kind of hard to judge what the individual pieces will be like until you have them all put in there. Pretty cute. I might change my overall nose design because I don't think it's like my nose at all, and I kind of want it to be individualized. So, I have this little like nose that has the bloops and like pretty pronounced nostrils, but it's like kind of upturned. So, yeah, I want to just kind of see if I can make that part of the design. About once a year, I do a picture of me, and I feel like it's a new opportunity to design myself again. I was considering this time putting in the glasses because these are new, but I feel like they're almost so new that I don't know if I want to add them yet. I definitely have been wearing them a lot because they have blue block, that's like the purple blue stuff that you see reflected in them. That's the screen. It's because it blocks the blue light from the screen, so it's supposed to help you fall asleep more easily after hours of looking at digital stuff, and just protect your eyes in general from screens. I definitely need that, so I hope it works. So far, I haven't really noticed a difference, but I didn't really have a problem falling asleep before, so we'll see. It's feeling a little off. I might make it just a little like line below to feel like that cheek is lifting up. And the plan is to like loosely paint these, not to full perfection or anything, but I do want the color in there, so that would be more than a sketch. Hey Kim! Oh, I was kind of wondering why the lenses were reflecting so much blue. Yeah, that's exactly why. I went to the eye doctor and I found out I actually have this thing in my eye where there's this part in the back of the eye where the nerve dips down at the it's hard to describe, but like basically there's that nerve, like optic nerve, connecting to the back of your eye, and the connection point is supposed to dip down, and mine goes more flat across, which means that I might have vision problems in the future, yay. But there's really nothing I can do about it because it is basically just an inherited trait, which is real fun. But she said that we're going to keep checking on it every year, but it should progress at such a slow rate that I would only start noticing differences when I'm extremely elderly. So I'm really hoping that's the case and it's not some rapidly growing horrible problem. Ugh. Then I'll just get a robotic eye, no problem, right? Future is now, guys. I'm gonna see and like zoom in and see in infrared. That'd be pretty sweet. I bet rich people already have that technology. I love putting like really fat eyebrows on myself. It's one of those things that like as a kid I always identified as like really thick eyebrowed. And I plucked them to death in middle school, along with most other kids. But now I've embraced the eyebrow life and the expressions that they give. But drawing, it makes it like a really fun feature. And then, of course, I always have my big cheeks. I remember in college we had this assignment to sculpt ourselves, like an optional assignment. Of course, I went for it because I was insane. And I was trying to ask everyone I knew, like, hey, what feature of mine is most outstanding? Like, what do you see in my face and think, like, that's what Anna looks like? And the only straight answer I actually got was Zah, my teacher. And she was like, okay, so your cheeks, they're really big and they're so, like, you know, you can push them in different ways. So depending on the pose, you could have a, you know, like, just like this, where it's like the arm kind of pushes up on it and there's chubby little cheek. And I don't know if anybody else in my life was like daring enough to say that. I think everybody thinks like, oh, you're going to be self-conscious after that or something. And I'm like, no, I'm honestly trying to get my features out. So I know what to sculpt. But, yeah, that sculpture is still sitting at my parents' house. I just saw it because there's this pile, I feel really bad about it. There's this pile of stuff that's still at my parents' house from when I moved out, of stuff I just didn't take at the last moment. And a lot of it is art supplies and like old art projects and stuff like that. And I want to take some of it, but like I just feel bad every time I go back and it's like accumulated dust. And I'm like, I really should take care of that. Oh, dang it. But I don't have space. Like I don't even have space for the stuff that is in my apartment right now. It's really sad. Oh, that's on the wrong layer. Oops. Oh well. Boom, remedied. All right, let's do another expression of like, you know, to the side, kind of a wow kind of thing, so I can present something. And that's not correct. Why am I not? Oh, it's because I'm selected. I always do that Command D whenever something's not showing up. I'm just gonna like roughen the shape. For these two, I generally knew what I wanted, but I'm not quite sure with this one what the pose is gonna be like. I think this will be the shoulder, arm going out, and then this will be a all-out hand, that kind of thing. Most of these are going to be pretty much the same expression of just like happiness in general. But that's fine. It's just the way it is. No problemo there. Don't want the mouth to overwhelm, because I usually do that. I usually make the mouth like one of the biggest parts, but I don't want to do that with this one. I also don't want these to downturn too much. They're more excited eyebrows than anything. Excited, not sad or scared. Also looks like I have no neck. I have some neck, it's there. Yeah, happiness is best for a Patreon page. I agree. I think it'll be a lot of just presenting things like, ta-da, this is available, or, you know, here's the breakdown of what I'm presenting for my page. And I'm really excited for this, actually. So I, like I said, talked to a lady who actually works at Patreon and knows what she's doing. Her name was also Anna. She was awesome. She's a lovable nerd. Aren't those the best people? Anyways, so she told me about, like, just thoughts she had for my page. Like, this is maybe what you could do. I've seen your work and I want it, like, this is what I would want from you kind of talk. She had such good ideas. That girl was so, like, just, like, so creative with what she came up with. So I'm totally going to use her ideas. One of them is to have a page that is more narrative based, and her just saying that, like, made a little fire come alive in me, just like when I was approached by the agent 2 years ago and was just like, oh wait, yeah, I do want to work in children's books. What? How did you know? So Anna said that narrative-based page, the idea is I make short stories on my page and bring the patron along and have you be like a grower of stories, do polls on what should go next. You know, like, there's a fox in the wood, where does he go? And then I give you some options, and like the most popular gets picked, and then the next week that is the illustration that I work on. And I think that is the coolest idea, and I would absolutely love to like have PDFs of full stories that we've built together be released to everyone. Like, that would be so cool. And then of course I would have pieces that I could do tutorials on. I could use those pieces in my portfolio, and then you never know, like, publishing world, they could get published eventually. So it's making like one piece of artwork or one idea do the work of multiple things. And that is I'm finding one of the only ways to make a living in this industry is just making it work for you the best you can. And do multiple, you know, like one piece of artwork shouldn't just be for one purpose, it should be for multiple. So I am very excited about that. And I'm going to be, you know, figuring out more and more. I am going to talk with the, what do they call it, like, creative support team on Patreon to make sure that everything I'm doing is something they think will work. Because I definitely don't want to waste energy on things that they don't think will work. Another cool thing is I want to hype up the launch of it. So right now, my Patreon page is pretty sad. It's from a year ago, and like, if you look at it, it's just kind of smacked together a little bit more. Definitely not as professionally shown as I'm going to make it. Like, I'm going to make an intro video, and I'm going to make these little illustrations to put everywhere, and then maybe even GIFs for the headers on each tier. That would be really fun. But also, what was I going to say about that? The old page, I'm going to revamp it. Anyway, yeah, that was what I was going to say. When I launch it, it's going to be like 5 days till launch, 2 days till launch kind of thing. And then I'm going to give my first followers or patrons or whatever they're called an extra thing. So I'm considering what that is right now, especially whether it's going to be a physical goodie or a digital goodie. But either way, it's going to be significant. So I am very excited about that. And like, one of my favorite things is giving people stuff. So my temptation that I have to constantly fight is giving too much for not enough money, because I know that's not sustainable and I can't keep doing that for very long. But I really do want to give people a lot, especially if they're like, there's one patron that I've had for this entire year and she continually gives me $1. And I'm just like, that is the sweetest thing. When I told her, like, I'm not going to be updating this for a year at least. And she's still just like plugging away. And I am so grateful for that, and know that if people were financially inclined, they would do that. Like, that kind of giving is just like, I want to give back to that so badly. So trust me, I'm not like trying to do this to get money and like stuff like that. It's more like trying to fund my staying alive while giving people what they want as much as possible. I don't expect something for nothing. I look weird because I'm not haired, and I think that something about the proportions is off. Like, I need to be thicker. I'm a thick character, so gotta get that in there. And Kim said, "Oh, that's a great idea. Fun." Zona's here. Hey, Kendall. Boo. I'm not wearing my ghost dress today, so totally unfitting. Kim says, "Oh, that's a great idea. Fun and more interesting than just illustration with a PSD." Totally. I feel that. I love illustration with PSD and everything, but I want to make this a journey that they go on with me, that kind of thing. And Zona, Kendall, I don't know what to call you now. I was just talking about my Patreon. I'm launching a Patreon, and that's what these are for. So if anybody's now joining, diss me. This is little cartoon Anna, and I'm going to have her all over my Patreon page so that she can present ideas and sales or whatever kind of thing I'm presenting on Patreon. And then hopefully get a gaggle of people along to ride the ride. And we were talking about it. I'm hoping to launch as one of the main tiers, basically like involving patrons in building stories, like short stories on my page. So I'd present multiple options of what could happen in a story. Like, we start with a prompt, and then we have multiple options that are polled. And then the highest polling option is the illustration for the next week. And then we could give like either a physical or digital copy of like the pieces that we've made together, and give that to all the patrons and just be like, yay, we're creating something together. This is, the story making zone or whatever. I was actually trying to come up with ideas for what to call this like collection of work, and I was thinking the anecdote anthology. It's kind of a mouthful, so I'm not sure if it's the best idea, but it's a work in progress. All of this is. Oh, that would be fun to see. Zona, I'm gonna call you, says. I'm gonna be taking notes because I want to build a Patreon eventually. Heck yeah. Antidote. Dote on me. No, I totally was gonna try to work my name in there, but I felt like it was a little bit too pushed. But I love making Anna puns. It could end up that way eventually. So Zona, I was talking about, I actually talked with another Anna at Patreon about how to build a page. And I've been listening to a ton of videos about just like what to do when you're opening your Patreon page. One thing to look at, which I think is amazing just to see, is the Try Guys from YouTube. They started their Patreon page to fund basically their new channel because they moved from BuzzFeed to doing it themselves, and they are like the Patreon story. Like, they emulate everything that Patreon wants them to be, you know? And so Anna was like, look at the Patreon for Try Guys. Their intro video is exactly what you want. It's just a wrapped up version of like everything that they're selling to you in one video. And you love them and you love the idea of the channel, so you're just like in immediately. So that's the kind of thing obviously I'm not gonna like have one that's anywhere near the brilliance that the Try Guys put together. Like, they are super pro and have a whole team and everything working. So I'm gonna try to I think I'll channel a little bit of Nicholas Cole. His page is also a wonderful one, and he has this little intro video that's basically like, here's the project I'm working on, this is why you like it, boom, done. And I think that since I will be making a kind of project out of this for the most part, I would absolutely love to make it like based around that. His is all about jelly bots, which is his comic that he's making. And mine could be whatever name we come up with. Antidote. Oh, that's a good idea. I love watching the Try Guys. I know they're so good. I love them. I also want to open up a Ko-fi or coffee. I never knew what it was called. I opened one of those, never got a cent, but I really didn't push it either. Just because, I don't know, it felt like it's a weird mixture one where it feels like, are you asking people to give you money, or is that a good idea to ask just like, hey, if you have a few bucks, throw it my way because you support me kind of thing? Anyways, for me it didn't work out, but I think I like the idea of Patreon because I'm full-time freelance. I think Ko-fi is good for people who don't have the option to like put all this time and effort into Patreon and want some way for people to instantly just be like, boom, given. Because I definitely know people are generous enough to do that. Yeah, coffee. Kim says, my mom was the only one to donate to my coffee for the longest time. Totally. I didn't want to do that to my parents either, so I didn't tell them. I was like, you need to keep your money. So how about, like, I wish there was a pocket of people who loved art that were just, like, inexplicably rich so that they could share the wealth but not be put out by it. Because one of the biggest things, I kind of want to make a caveat on my Patreon page, but I also don't want to dissuade people if they feel strongly about supporting me. But I never want somebody to give up their financial security to support me, obviously. I hope that people know that, but I know that some people have problems spending money and are not financially, like, the most fiscally responsible. And I want them to be as responsible as possible. We all need to get through this together. Maybe I'll have the hair come over here. I'm just feeling some like flow issues with this one, so. So it says, just like donate $5 instead of buying a coffee. Okay, yeah. That happens, but it's only in galleries and museums. Wish it extended to us in the design, illustration, and animation world. I know we need some, what was it? There's that family in, I think it was Rome, that would constantly like donate to artists. So most of the amazing chapel art or whatever was by the artists that they hired. All those Michelangelos and all the jazz like that. Should I have an ear? The Medici family. Gotta get those guys back. Now billionaires just sit and do none. I guess they altered the tax code. Whoa! Is that an okay way of showing nostrils? I have the pronounced nostrils. But I don't know if that gets too weird. I don't know if nostrils are part of my style. Oh man. Yeah, Kim. Medici. The Medici family. Yeah, we need more money gifts to create awesome things. Absolutely, I agree. it would be wonderful to feel like, you didn't have to rely on the community for support, but sometimes it's just the way it is. I actually saw this week one of the studios. Oh, actually, James worked for a studio called Shadow Machine, which is an animation studio. He worked on a show called Robo in Dallas, which it was aired on YouTube Premium. So I don't know how many people saw it, because I don't think that's the most popular of all the streaming services. But it was a wonderful experience, and he worked with so many great people. Anyway, so they have another studio down in LA, and a lot of our friends from that production have now moved down there to work on those productions, one of which is BoJack Horseman. And they this week were like looking for support from the community because they're trying to unionize, which I never even thought about. Like, I always assumed that most animation studios in California were unionized. Which, if you don't know about unionization, it's incredibly important to be able to be paid justly and treated justly, but mostly the pay. So it's something that I've been thinking about lately. Like, why is it such a struggle in any career to just like make ends meet? I feel like there's such a system set up in this country, at least, to know what the living wage is, what is deserved for skill-based like careers and things like that. Like, there's so many things to look to and be like, that's comparable, we should be treated like that, yet it still doesn't happen. Why not? Are we just taught to, like, is it ingrained in our brains that art, for some reason, since we enjoy it, is less valuable? Because it's not at all. Redonk. Meanwhile, these ad campaigns that use the artwork make millions of dollars. There's no union for animation? There's gotta be a union for animation, right? There's something. They've been talking about it in the motion design area too. Crazy. There's a guild, but a lot of, guild, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. A lot of studios aren't part of it, from my understanding. All I remember is the horrifying Life of Pi situation. That was infuriating. Like, everything that makes the movie happen, and nope, you don't get proper credit, treatment, payment, all that jazz. Like, ridiculous. I think something's wrong with this industry. What's going on here? I would say the same thing as this, like, of the children's book industry, but I don't think it's as pervasive. Like, you'll get better paying jobs, but some of them will be the most horrendously underpaid. I think most of them are probably in the middle road. At least, I mean, of course, I'm not an expert in any way, but from what I've heard enough people be like, yeah, I got a good deal on this book, that book, whatever. But I still think they treat it as a passion project for a lot of things. Like, if you're not a well-known artist or children's book illustrator in particular, even if you're an artist coming into it from another angle, they can treat you like, well, you're not a Caldecott winner, so I don't have to treat you like I do this other artist, since, like, really the treatment should be equal. Kind of ridiculous. Just so frustrating. All I've learned from the last week of online courses is that I'm grossly undercharging for my services. Oh, just know that, from here on out, you have the chance to make much more, right? It's always a horrible feeling to be like, I have to up my rates, but once you get those rates, it's a good feeling. Like, way, way better. But I think everybody's had that kind of feeling. I actually put up commissions, like, oh, this is how much it'll cost. I think this was like 3 years ago or something. Every single friend of mine on Facebook, who are like all artists, of course, because I went to college with a bunch of them, and some of my teachers and everything, everybody was just like, whoa, 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 Anna, your prices are so low. Like, you should not be charging that at all. And I was like taken aback, because I had done some research and was thinking this was the going rate for most people around my skill level, and they were like, no, you have to charge at least 3 times more. And I'm like, but how am I gonna get anybody to pay that? I did get a few commissions from, like, two people. One of them was like literally my patron. She was so wonderful and just wanted to basically like have me create artwork because she loved my style, and she's wonderful. She's actually working on what do you call it? A crew at a wildlife preserve with my sister-in-law next summer, which is just insane. Like, what a small world. Anyways, I love her, and we went to elementary school together. And then I also had a friend who wanted a commission. Now, those commissions were at the higher prices, which was like really nice, but I don't always get the money that I charge, which is not a okay thing, you know. Last second being like, oh yeah, I can't pay you that, can I pay you this? And I'm just like, well, but that's just one of the reasons why I stopped doing commissions. It was also really, really stressful to have to deal with that and work because so this all kind of happened at the same time. So I was doing like 5 commissions for these 2 people. And then Christmas, I didn't have money to pay for presents, so I was making them. I was drawing these little animals with scarves for my family and putting them into frames and making it all nice. And then also I was doing work. So I was literally nonstop for like 2 months just trying to get all of this to work. And I was like at James's parents' house or aunt and uncle's house on Christmas Eve doing edits to a commission. On Christmas Eve. Shouldn't have to do that. So it became this unholy beast, and I really haven't wanted to do commissions since then. I know it's an option, but I don't know if it's a sustainable option, personally. I do also take more time than some people do with the commissions. Like, I care if they look good. And I've definitely submitted commissions like a few years ago, not now, but a few of them that I didn't feel good about, like I didn't like them enough. And I think I should have restarted them. If I were to do them now, I definitely would. But back then, I didn't know what I was doing as much, so that's what happens. I'm going to start painting these gals, by the way. I'm not just mustarding them out for no reason. Kim said I had another artist tell me I was undercharging. See, that is a good thing for them to tell you. I think that's a nice thing. And yeah, Zona, that's why contracts are the best. # no sleep, which shouldn't be a thing. And I like the mustard. I love mustard. James hates it, so more mustard for me. I like the like stone ground mustard. I'm a little bit snooty like that. Or German mustard, you know, where it's got the seeds in it. I love that stuff. Although hands down, the best mustard I had was at my cousin's wedding in New York, and I've never had mustard like that again. I'm really sad about it. I want to find it again. Maybe that's like my Milo and Otis story. Someday she will reunite with the beloved mustard. So I'm thinking I'll just have a golden pattern dress. Like, that's what I'm imagining for this. And then I'm hoping to have a little bit of a tanned skin because I plan on getting tan this summer. Oh, yeah. I don't like the treatment of, like, tanning. Like, I'm not trying to, but my skin picks up color really easily. So I'm hoping that happens without too much sun damage this summer. And guys, did you see my Instagram TV thing? I am going to Hawaii in May. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Yeah. I really can't wait. I need to get out of here. Real bad. No, it's been a lot trying to go through the end of the residency. That # no sleep thing, man. It's no joke. James and I have both been working like after the work day every night. Like, we have dinner and then we go back to work, and then also like one day of the weekend, if not 2, which is not okay. I would not suggest it for anyone ever. I don't suggest it for myself. But I know that it's a predetermined amount of time. I am not going to keep doing this for a long period of time, so in that way, I think it will hopefully swing back to the normal side of things, and I will have free time someday. By the way, I'm just going to throw in chunks of color here so that I can see them next to each other and figure out if I like the color combos before getting into any detail. I feel like I start most of my favorite designs with yellow as the undertone. Heck yeah, that's constantly me. If you didn't see it with the other character drawings, here's example A. Bleeding mustard and the Grey Poupon. I haven't had Grey Poupon in a long time. I should retry that and see what I like, or if I like it. Yes, exciting! Woo! Hawaii looks gorgeous. Heck yeah. Oh, I remember pulling a couple of all-nighters for work, and that was weird. You get weird real quick. I've definitely done the thing where, like, I stare at the screen for, like, 20 minutes, and I'm just like, wait, did I do anything? Is this what being productive is? And then I'm just like, okay, I need to go to sleep. Doesn't feel good to not be productive. Getting hot. I think I'm gonna take off my cardigan. Blech. It's been like almost summer here the last few days. It's crazy. We went on a walk also on my Instagram stories. If you didn't see, we found a lamprey eel in the creek outside. It was so cool. I named him Curly, but he's probably a she. And it's kind of sad because I found out that what Curly was doing was building a nest, and that they die after they build their nests and lay their eggs. So that's sad. I don't want to say goodbye to my friend. I just made him. That's not the worst. But Hawaii, I can't wait to see what kind of wildlife they have there. I know there are wild chickens on certain islands, or all, I'm not sure. But I absolutely can't wait to get out of the state. That sounds like what I'm running away. But no, it's because of not traveling for fun all year. Like, I traveled for the residency, which was really, really magical, and I would definitely not talk bad about that. But traveling for work and traveling for fun are two distinctly different things, and I cannot wait to travel for fun. Oh, that's hair. Senna says, I feel like the 3 a.m. in the office, it gets, oh my gosh, yes, it does get weird. Like, me and a couple other people on my team just kind of had a moment like, why are we still here? Oh my gosh, yes. It gets freaky weird. I think the thing that always told me, like, oh, you've been here too long, is the cleaning crew comes in. And I would see them fairly often, and I'm like, I'm here too much. This is not good. And I wasn't doing particularly difficult work. It was just work that my brain didn't want to do, so it took forever. And taking forever on work you don't want to do, anti the good feeling. Probably one of the worst. But at least the cleaning crew was really nice. They were always a joy to, like, they made it better to see them at 3 a.m. There you go. I'm going to have sandals on, so my toes are a little red. Alright, let's see it without some lines. That's pretty cute. I like the simple design. I keep pushing more and more simple. Like, I used to do these, like, deeply complex paintings with every little edge or facet of the figure being lit in a different way, and now I'm just like, can I make it a blob? I like the blob best. Blobs forever. Magicians. I watched one season of that. I haven't picked it up since. It ended a little bit too scarringly to me, so I'm just like, okay, I'm good for now. But I've been hearing people all day being like, I love the Magicians. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Yeah, it gets odd when you get to know the cleaning crew. Hey, buddy. We're here again at 3 a.m. Let's kick a hacky sack around. Yeah. I need to finish my drawing of my sister now. I haven't colored it yet. Yeah, it gets really intense. Oof. Yeah, finish your sister drawing. Sister drawing. Oh my gosh, you watch it with your mom? That's interesting. There is a lot of profane stuff that happens in that show, but I mean, if you're into it, that's awesome. I think the only thing I really watch with my mom is like Mamma Mia. That's the zone I'm in. The Zona. Oh yeah. Gonna do a little schmidge. I might go actually lighter for that one. Sometimes I like to do the parts of dresses that you can see underneath, or clothing in general. I like to do lighter rather than darker. Just a stylistic thing. Yeah, I got her hit. And you're drawing your sister? Is that for your sister? Or is it for your mom? It's awesome to do family stuff, like, for free. Actually, I heard this from Lee, and I think it's good advice. You either do work for free or you do work for your full pay, or full amount, whatever. Because then it keeps its amount no matter what. Like, it is either appreciated because it's completely free, or it is appreciated because it's full money. If you do discounts, it just appreciates your work, the value of it. So I would recommend that. Yeah, I think I like that. My sister wanted to doodle after seeing my self-portrait. That's so cute. I love it. That means you gotta support her within the ranks. I should do more family portraits for sure. I did that on another page. There we go. Alright, cool. So we've got some colors that I'm actually really digging. I think we might need to add a little bit of complexity. I might do a little soft light layer over it of some different color swatches. This is my new little trick to add color depth. She sent me one of her hanging by her feet on a rock climbing wall. Of course, just like, oh yeah, could you like bust this out? No problem, right? Hey, at least you have reference. That's something. If she just described it to you, that would suck. But I do love that. Just like, why that one? Because it's your favorite picture of yourself. So goofy. I might erase some of these as I go along, but I'm just going to throw in some schwaths. Also, Lizzo's new album came out today, guys. I don't know if I mentioned that. I think I did. But yeah, if you ever want to pump yourself up and feel like, yeah, what? I'm the baddest, whatever. Then listen to some Lizzo. She just amps me up. I love that there's different music for different moods, you know? We should do a music sharing session. Do you guys ever do that with your friends where you just get together and like listen to different music with each other? That was fun. So you guys see the difference between like, okay, plain color, which not bad, but adding just like little swaths of artsy little whoosh of colors makes it a little bit depthier. And I could go on endlessly adding different colors, and I might, but I'm just gonna go into the line a little bit, line on top of it. Maybe add some patterning. Might actually add a pattern to the whole dress. So, ooh, love it. One of the challenges doing portraits like that, though, Zona, I find at least, is keeping the style. Like, if she's thinking, oh, you're drawing of your avatar, then having it be exactly the same for her. I have struggles doing that. Do you guys feel that? Because, like, I've done that before where they're like, oh, I want it to look just like this. And I'm like, I just did that once. I don't know if I can do it exactly the same again. Excuse me, I burped. Add my little eyelashes. I've been really getting good at my eyeliner lately, and I'm running out of the gel that I use, so I'm a little scared. Once I run out of it, will I just go back to zero? But literally every day I have to look in the mirror and be like, okay, is it good enough? And then I have to remind myself, sisters, not twins. They're close enough. Let's roll. Oh my gosh. Another thing aside from Lizzo, I've been obsessed with Vampire Weekend's new album as well. And going through their older stuff as well. Nothing makes me feel quite as cheery as some Vampire Weekend. Yeah, doing the exact same thing is always a challenge. Agree. That's why my proposal for the residency was challenging myself to remain within a specific style and series. Because I never make the same thing. They always veer off in weird branches. Totally, totally, totally. I think all it, like, you know, it comes down to editing it and being like, okay, is this similar or is it different? Why is it different? Why is it similar? You know, that kind of thing. And I don't always have the patience to do all that. Although I'd say editing is probably one of my favorite things to do to a piece, but not that kind of editing. I like seeing if the colors or values are matching, not like pick this apart and make it the same style as this other thing. Gotta refine that portfolio now. Refine the portfolio. Heck yeah, man. Portfolios are where it's at. Yours is gonna be great. I think that it'll be a continual refining of portfolio until I die. Just forever and ever and ever. Oh my gosh, just pick one idea and stay focused. Little Grandma Anna came out. That'll be my series. It's just Grandma Anna hobbling through all these like story elements and being like, eh. I actually have an idea for a D&D character that's a gnome druid who is like this old lady who goes everywhere like I'm an old lady, but then she's super fast when she needs to be, so she just like zip 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 and probably scares some people by like showing up and not being properly attired or like, you know, just being generally not the socially charming kind. I'm into that. You should do that and make voiceovers where she explains things. So you see here. Yes, I would be so down. That's honestly one of my favorite parts of doing any D&D stuff, which, I mean, I haven't been doing a ton, but it's the voices and, like, going into character is so much fun. Definitely need to get better at it, but I still enjoy it. Add it to the Patreon as part of a subscription. Oh my gosh, if it could just be a voice file that I send to people, like, so this is what your lighting is off about. Yes, I'm into that. What lines am I adding? I don't even know. This is the problem with, like, minimal line styles, is sometimes I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. When you just outline everything, it's really simple to go forward and be like, okay, well, the line obviously goes here because this is the outline. But now, it's not quite like that. I always wear sashes, so... Well, not always. I have belts too, but... It's an easy way to stylize things. Hacha. I still don't know how I've gone through my whole life without playing D&D and yet still know all the references. I love it. This needs to be fixed. I will play D&D in 2019 or 2020. Man, I would be so down to do like a video chat D&D session kind of thing. That would be really fun. But yeah, that's the problem, is like getting the people to do it. We had a group of friends who were kind of into it for a while, but after a few times they were like, sorry, but life is too busy. I think one of the issues is we didn't have a set DM, so we were trying to share the load where we would all be DM for like 1 week for one section of it. That's obviously not sustainable for like very long, but it worked pretty well for what we were doing. It's just the toll it takes on people's lives when we're all so busy. And I got invited to another D&D group with some of my friends, which I was super into, but then everything with the residency picked up so much that I haven't had time for it, unfortunately. I think we'll do a pattern in paint rather than line. maybe, ooh, with this yellow dress, I might do a gradient. Like it goes darker from the top down, or goes darker at the top, lighter at the bottom, and then I can have like little spots of light on the darker top. That's at least the idea I'm going for. You can try it out, revert it back if we don't like it. OMG, that would be fun. I know there's a podcast which is D&D. There's several like podcasts. Right now, James and I are very into Critical Role, which is the amazing podcast with voice actors doing or not podcast, it's like a stream, but it's with the voice actors doing the voices for their characters, and this is their second campaign. They just did like one of the all-time highest Kickstarters for an animated series based off of what they're doing, which is amazing. So obviously we have to move to LA so James can be a character designer on that. Got a dit. But yeah, it's really fun. Like, I think it takes a while to get into. Like, I would catch glimpses of it at first and not get what was going on, so I didn't really care. But then once I saw like a few weeks in a row, it was like, oh, so what next? What happens in the Dragon's Keep or whatever, you know? And they make it very fun, so I like it. And then Anthony is addicted to My Brother and Me, those guys, what is it called? Adventure Zone, which I started but did not finish. So it takes a while to get into, I think, at least for me. So I should get back into that. Oh, I've heard of that, never investigated. Now I'll have to learn more. It's really fun to live vicariously through, and you learn a ton about the rules and stuff. So it's much better as a way to just gear up to get better at D&D in general. Not something that takes as much work, you know? Like, looking through the rule book is not something I look forward to, but James loves stuff like that. Like, he is all about looking up the rules and, you know, getting it done. Takes a special kind of creature to do that. I am not it. Oh, it's underneath the skin. Okay. Sorry, I was trying to put some details on the face, and it was hiding behind other layers. It's probably way too yellow. Have I not been brushing my teeth? I brush my teeth twice at least. Come on. I've also been flossing lately, guys, because I saw, speaking of the Try Guys, they did a few videos on aging, which is like a series that they've been doing. I greatly appreciate that because I think it's just one of those reminders that we have to think about, like, hey, remember those people who grow up? Like, they don't go away. And you're going to be them, so be ready. Anyways, so they aged them up in looks, like put prosthetics on the guys and, showed them what they would look like when they're all aged. And one of the biggest differences I noticed was the teeth things that they did. They like lowered their gums and stuff. And I was like, I don't want my teeth to change ever. I like the way they are and I don't want them to get worse. So I'm going to take care of them. So that's the plan. I'm going to floss. I'm going to use mouthwash. I've already got the electric toothbrush thanks to Anthony. So I'm pretty set for dental hygiene. I just hope that it's enough to protect. I think okay, so weird thing. I don't know if I've had a cavity before because I swear it was a dream that I had a cavity. I don't know if it was real. Is that weird? Are memories real or are they dreams? Anyways, I think I did have a cavity, and I just for years prided myself on not having cavities. And what I remember, this could be a dream, guys, because I'm weird, sorry, was the dentist telling me that there was no way to prevent it because it was just in a place of the tooth that wouldn't be easily reached. So if I didn't know it was, growing there or whatever, then I wouldn't be able to do anything about it. Anyways, that's a snippet from my dream. Last night, what was my dream? Oh, there was a thing that I can't remember. It was very vivid when I woke up. It was one of those times where I woke up kind of like in an emotion because of it. Either good or bad, I don't know. Okay. I keep looking up at the OBS capturing this because it's like a zoomed out version of what I'm painting right now. And I think the head shape could be puffed up a little bit on that left side, so I'm going to do that. Yeah, I think I like that better. Oh my gosh. My mother had a tooth extracted today. Oh, I'm so sorry. That sucks. She's still a little loony from those meds. Now's the time to watch Magicians together. She won't remember a thing. Oh man. I've never gone under fully. Like, I've only had local anesthesia, but they did one time take out 4 teeth because I didn't have room for all of them, so they're just like gone. And then I never grew wisdom teeth, so never had to go under. Thank goodness. So lucky there. Thanks, Dad, for those genetics. Lol. That's like the one weird dream/memory of pretending to be a mummy and drinking Coke. I still don't know what that was. No one else has any memory of it, so I'm going with dream. But it was kind of weirdly real. That's awesome. Oh my gosh. As long as it's not scary, right? I remember the only reoccurring dream I had as a kid was that an Indian, like I call it Indian because I was a kid, but Native American was in my downstairs bathroom, and he used a rope to choke me, and I like couldn't like breathe and all that, obviously, but I didn't die. So it was like this long choking period, and I was just like, why is this happening? And it happened multiple times. I don't know what's going on. I have Native American in my ancestry, so could it be that he was speaking to me by strangling me? Hopefully not. I don't know. There have been a lot of atrocities. It's kind of a bad deal. But I don't have a lot of bad dreams anymore, so I'm glad that that's over. And thank gosh, I haven't had like, thank gosh. What do I do? I'm censoring myself. But I haven't had any night terrors, which is like the thing that I would absolutely not want. No sleep paralysis or anything like that. Well, I have friends with that, and I just cannot imagine the fear. It's no fun. She told me no magicians because she might fall asleep. It's so cute. She's like, no, I have to be aware. Oh my gosh. Alright, this is looking pretty cute. I'm gonna obviously clean up some of the paint edges, but all I really need to add is her nose with the lines. Doo-doo-doo. No wisdom teeth. Lucky. That was my worst experience. Oh, I'm so sorry, Kim. But it can be really bad. With James, they had to hammer his teeth apart and then pull out the chunks, and that just sounds horrific. With Anthony, he was in and out, and all I got was this picture of him with this dog. He was dog sitting, and his cheeks were like, it was great. But I never had to go through the experience, never had to choose what anesthetizing I wanted or anything like that. Which, I'm, of course, scared to go under now, because I'm like, I've never gone under, I don't know what it's like. Or if we'll come out of it, you never know. That's why you say you love everyone all the time. Just constantly tell people you love them. Do it. Boom. Oh my gosh. That's a terrifying dream. Sleep paralysis is terrifying. Ugh, I hate it. I get it when I'm on long car rides. One time I was awake, paralyzed, sleeping, and then everyone had a conversation about where to eat, but I couldn't participate. That is so odd. You can't I don't know. It's just a weird thing. Like, there's no explaining it. It's just a freaky weird thing. And I'm really sorry that you've experienced that. Part of me feels like the more I fear it, the more it's likely to happen. So I try not to think about it. But my friend Ashley has it sometimes, and the way she described it was just like my nightmare, where I would probably have a heart attack. Because, there are just some things where you're like, okay, if that ever happens, I might just cease living. But I don't know. I'm really afraid. I'm kind of a scared person. I wouldn't say anxious, but like I've told Anthony and James, if there's some kind of apocalypse where like 90% of the world is zombies or something like that, like just shoot me immediately. I do not want to even try to live in that world. To me, what's the point? Like, you've lost everyone you love, and you could possibly kill them if you haven't lost them already. So I would just stop. I would just, like, in the second it happened, just be like, okay, bye. Oh, gosh. That would be the nice way of doing it. I don't want to make my family kill me either. Oh, gosh. How do we start talking about sleep paralysis and zombie killing? Come on. Like, knowing what they were saying and being there, but not being able to go, no, I'm not in the mood for that. Where'd you end up eating? Were you okay with it? You're like, no, I didn't want Taco Bell. Hag attacks are the most common version of sleep paralysis. What is that hag doing? Mean. Where they see a little creature and frequently sitting upon their chest, keeping them from breathing. I hate that. Yeah, Ashley told me about something like that, where it was like, well, somebody's standing over the bed. And I, like, okay, almost every night before I go to sleep, I look through the doorway and I imagine somebody standing in it, and I have a little heart palpitation, and I say, don't think about that, go to sleep. And that's just, my anxiety coming out, and then me saying, like, no. And I've gotten really good at saying, like, no, don't think about that, and actually doing, like, not thinking about it, which I know I'm lucky with that. Like, a lot of people don't have that kind of control. And I just, like, how do people not have heart attacks all the time thinking, like, having sleep paralysis? I would probably have a heart attack. That was actually, James and I are rewatching Stranger Things because whoop whoop, season 3 is coming out on July 4th, I believe. And I am super excited for that. But in season 2, there's like this home invasion scene. And that kind of stuff, like, is exactly the same as somebody standing in your doorway. It just feels like I am so afraid I could just die right now. So I'm really hoping I never experience anything like that, because even if it was like my friend in a mask, I might just die before they got, an ambulance there. I'm not much of a fraidy cat. I think a zombie apocalypse, I would definitely die early on. You could just call it, like, I'd probably be one of those first 2 million, Yeah, I'd be on the early death side of the zombie apocalypse, too. Oh my gosh, you guys. I would survive longer than some of my friends, but definitely not long-time survivor. I do not know how to shoot a gun, nor would I be good at driving. Camping, survival, and isolating myself, I'd be okay. My only saving grace would be that I live in the middle of the mountains, so that might give me some time. Okay, yeah. I think rural, definitely the way to go. However, supplies, obviously an issue. And I think people underestimate how quickly they would run out of stuff. Like, it would happen so fast, especially if you have a family. There's just no way you can keep that kind of stock and be sane. So I think that a lot of people are just betting on it not happening. However, there is this National Geographic show that I put on like one day. It was really not that good of a show, but it was based around, and it's on Netflix, it was based around these people who were preparing for the end of the world. So they would stock up on stuff, and clearly they just look insane. But then you think, like, okay, so put yourself in the mindset that the apocalypse is coming. They're planning for something that's definitely happening. And they had like these experts that would rate their setup and be like, all right, how likely are you to actually survive some kind of apocalypse? And it was just funny to see like how quickly, like, they look insane for planning that much, and yet they still could improve their setup. So, like, if you don't have your own source of water, you're screwed. If you don't have 2 weeks at least worth of food and water, you're screwed. If you don't have some kind of toilet that doesn't run on the sewage system in your city, you're screwed. Like, there are just so many things where our system of life, our society, is not built for emergencies at all. And so it feels like you're either wasting your life planning for something that's inevitable, or you're planning halfway and still won't make it. And you're wasting your life planning that much. So I think it's smart to have a backpack. That's all I would do. Is like a backpack full of enough food and water and hopefully a med kit of some kind. Especially there was this really sad family where the daughter and the wife were both diabetic. And so they were saving up on insulin so in case of emergency they could live for 6 months and then have a horrible death. Like how? What? Unless you're, like, if you know how to make insulin, that's the only way you could save yourself. Like, that is so sad. But yeah, that's just, one of those weird shows on Netflix if you ever want to check it out. Oh gosh. I would remember a lot of my Girl Scout survival tips. See, you're ahead of the game having survival tips. I think survival tips, totally cool. Like, normal, good. It's the hoarding of things and building of underground bunkers that you don't use otherwise. If you're using your underground bunker as your studio, like, go for it. But, yeah, that's just my opinion. Yeah, my supplies would be gone pretty quickly. I freak out when I get snowed in, never prepared. See, most people don't even have the experience of getting snowed in. They don't know how much they use, so at least you have that, just to know, like, okay, so last time I underpacked by, like, 3 boxes of Twizzlers, because that's clearly what you need in an emergency. Eating grasshoppers and grass, just the grass and the hopper, would definitely be edible. They just need that now because it's so expensive. Oh my gosh. Well, grasshoppers and grass. How much nutrients is in grass? I'm not sure. Obviously, bugs are great. Like, that's a great thing. Thank goodness we have bugs around. Why are we, like, wired to be so anti-eating bugs? I think that's dumb. For the survival of humanity. That's just dumb. They're so abundant. A bug didn't. I get snowed in frequently. My dog is built for snow, and it contrasts with their need of heat greatly. Wow. So your dog is definitely going to be like your wolf friend that keeps you alive through all of this. So keep the dog around. Keep him happy. Make sure he doesn't eat you. That's another big difference between the cats and the dogs. The cats will be like, all right, I will fend for myself. And the dogs are like, I will make sure you don't die. I think there's something off about the nose-mouth situation that it might be the nose. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's the nose. Not my fave. So I'm going to redraw it, and then I'm going to move on to the others. Because we can always come back. Better? I don't know. Oh, I'm going to give her a little ear swoop. Boom. Eating bugs is fun? Zona, what? Are you eating bugs up in here? The cats will just be like, goodbye. My cat will, however, just beg for more food. Yeah, thanks for helping, kitty. Oh, jeez. So silly. Oh, lucky, my dog needs a sweater. I mean, she looks cute, but she's not saving me. Zona says he'd be like, pet me, zombie. This be my belly. Or, this is my belly. I can read. And then we'd have a zombie cat, and that would infect us all. See, the biggest thing in the zombie lore is, like, if animals are zombified, we're out. Like, no, you can't survive that no matter what. Sorry. And if bugs, then, like, we will all be zombies within a day. That's just how it is. Alright, now I'm just going through these layers and basically copying the colors, and I'm just gonna wash them in here. And you know, the goal is always to be as messy as possible. Should turn off the soft light layer to see the actual colors underneath. Always so gratifying to have those giant swaths of color. By the way, I haven't seen you guys in a while, so I'm going to tell you a few things also that have been updated in my life. Real quack. I'm speaking at Max again this year, so I will be in LA for that. I'm also going to Lightbox, if you guys haven't heard of that. It's an animation convention Bobby Chu is running. It's going to be awesome. I'm very excited for that. James is also going to be coming with me on both of those trips, and we're going to probably be trying to reconnect with a lot of the friends down in LA and possibly looking for jobs for him. And of course, if we find a job down there, could be time for a move. You never know. This is the time in life when things are happening. So, yeah, that's the goal right now. And then, what other things? The SBS class has been moved, so it's no longer going to be launching in May. It's probably going to be later in the year. That's because they're restructuring how their classes are put out onto the website. So the class is still totally happening. It's totally planned, and it's just happening later mainly because they don't want their subscribers to consume things like Netflix where they binge a class. They want them to have a class, do the assignment, and like actually get something out of it rather than just going through it for no reason. And then, I'm getting illustration work from my agent. So I just submitted the roughs for my first project that I've gotten through him. That's super exciting. It was a really fun one. I don't know how much I can talk about because, NDA or whatever. But when it gets published, then I will definitely tell you. It was just a one-off thing, so it's not like I got a whole book done or anything like that. But it was a very fun one to work on so far. Obviously, the finish is coming in the next week. And let's see, what else? Anything else new? I plan on opening my online store and my Patreon. Those are the two things that I'm really working on right now, and a lot of it is trying to figure out costs. So I'm making these huge spreadsheets of just like, okay, so how much does it cost to get prints, sleeves, the backing for it, making the packaging somewhat cute for cheap, and then like mailers and postage. Like that's a lot for just, here's a print. It's crazy. So, doing that, and then the Patreon is kind of the same thing, except it's a little bit more thinking about what people want rather than just like, do prints. I also definitely want to make pins. Been talking to Valley Cruise Press, who are the people that I ordered my last set of pins through, and they're wonderful but kind of expensive. I know I could probably get it for cheaper on Alibaba, finding like a Chinese manufacturer, which all pins are made through China. It's just a fact. And so I'm trying to kind of figure out what I'm going to do with that, whether I'm going to go for a cheaper, less predictable option or stick with Valley Cruise, pay more money, but know that it's going to be quality and wonderful and really easy and fast. They were pretty fast. So yeah, I'm just figuring all that out. It's life, The downer is it takes money, and, right now, when we're trying to think about James doesn't have a job and we're trying to figure out whether we're moving or not, all of these things are very money suck ventures. So we will see where we end up. I think my skin tone changed slightly from this one to this one. Yeah. Anyways, that's what's going on with me. Oh my gosh, you guys are talking about your dogs and I'm missing it. Okay. That would infect us all. My dog is perfect for snow and would definitely be there for us, but so useless in defending us. They'd just be like, I'm here, I'm dead. Oh, no. She's scared of her shadow. Oh, so cute. I love little scared dogs, but obviously I want to comfort them. Kim says, yeah, my dog is a big fan of running away too. Aw. Soda says, yes, updates, yay, ooh, fun. All these reactions. That's what School of Motion does. They release the lessons periodically so that you have time to do the assignment and get feedback. That's awesome. I like that a lot better than just binging lessons. Totally. I feel the same way, and I totally agree with what they're doing at SVS. I want them to do it. It's just, it was a little bit, I don't know, like I was expecting to come out of the residency and like hit the ground running with this class. And now I'm like, whoa, okay. So I have to think about what I'm doing instead of that right now, which is not a problem. I'm very happy to, put my efforts towards certain things or, switch gears there. It just wasn't what I was expecting. So I'm like, okay, we'll put it off. And hopefully later this year isn't going to absolutely kill me with how much is going on. I don't think it will, especially if I do the work ahead of time. So I'm still going to be filming the class so that I have, stuff to put together. They're also talking about getting a video editor, hopefully, so that I don't have to, all of the teachers don't have to edit our own videos and take our time away from the actual teaching, which would be such a time saver because, editing is what takes me the most time just because I'm not a professional editor, It takes a lot more time to, look things up and not have the hotkeys and everything down as much as a professional does. Kim says, NDAs are the bane of existences, but good luck. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I couldn't post anything from my other job because NDAs took everything away. I couldn't do anything about it. No portfolio, no nothing. Great. Zona says, shipping, so much shipping. Ooh, you got this, girl. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Studio Long, hello, hi. So glad to have you here. I was just talking about SVS, and you know all about that. I already told her. So, hi and welcome. Zona says that's what keeps me from finishing my tutorials. Editing, I know, it takes so long. I know I've gotten, a lot faster at it this year, but I still, there's no comparing to somebody who does it for a living. And I enjoy doing it, but it is, again, if they do it for a living, they can do it a lot better than I can. So I'm into that, man. Pay those people to do what they love. All right, I'm going to color in my other self here and just kind of get these guys rolling so that I feel like I've been productive. Oops. So did you guys miss the streams? I know Kendall did, but, everybody else. Now we're back together, the crew. We're all reunited. Studio Long says, I was looking forward to your class. Still am, though, totally. I am just as much looking forward to it. Oh, this is another thing. So I've been talking about launching my Patreon studio. I just wanted to tell you. I have been thinking about tiers and stuff like that. So the main one is going to be building stories with the patrons and making it into a short story builder with people and getting everyone involved and then releasing what happens at the end, like an anthology kind of thing. But I was also thinking of, so they recommended at Patreon doing 3 tiers to start, no more than 3 tiers, but I'm also really tempted to do a 4th tier of something higher up that is getting, or giving critiques. So I would give a paint over of somebody's piece and have one layer be the paint over and then another layer be text explaining why I do the stuff, why I'm editing what I'm editing. I've done that for my friends and colleagues for years, and I always feel like it's one of the most efficient things to do with other artists. So I was hoping that maybe somebody would find value in that. I'd put it around the $50 mark, something like that, so that it's, it's a professional critique, but it's also not a full-fledged video critique or a class or anything like that. It's just a one-off, you really want to hammer home this character or this painting just isn't getting to the point where you want it to be. I could just do a quick paint over, explain what I'm thinking, and then hopefully that would be really helpful. I don't know. That's just an idea I've been playing with. Again, the people at Patreon said that most of the fans will probably not be artists wanting to learn. They will just be fans, audience people who are I just like your work. I don't want to learn how to do it. I just want to see you do it. And so I'm still down with that completely. It's just, are they going to be upset if there's one tier that's not about them? I don't know. Zona says, just so much rewatching and rewatching. At least animation, I control it. I know. Oh my gosh. I've watched myself say something and like edited out some kind of, defect and whatever for so long. And then I finally leaned into it after a while and like, if I said a word wrong, I would do like text next to it. Like that was flucky at the end of one of the videos. I think that it's better to just kind of do one take if you can. I definitely don't do one take. I do like 5 at least. But I want to get more. I want to get better at doing that. Like one take, edit it, emphasize when you mess up, make it funny, that kind of stuff. Lol. Ooh, that would be fun. You should do a corpse style one. Oh my gosh. It would be really fun to collaborate with people on it. That's what I want, is like an openness to be able to, make whatever you want and like have the freedom to, I hand it off to another person. We all have a part in it. That would be so awesome. Long says, yeah, that would be cool. Zona says, that sounds like fun. Do it. Oh, okay. It's hard to find good critique after school. Exactly, yeah. I find that it's hard to also find like mentors. And that is the biggest thing in this last year that's helped me. Having Lee as a mentor has been the hands down best thing. And that I don't know where you really look for mentors. I had Ty Carter as a mentor a few years ago for like 3 months. And that was just because we got to know him at CTN, and he was like, hey, you guys, would you like to be a mentee of mine for this many months? Like, it costs this much, and we could, work together. And I was like, that sounds awesome. I didn't even consider it, but it's awesome. And that worked out great. But having Lee now is like completely transformative. Like, it wasn't just on one project. This is like building my entire career with him. Kind of awesome. It's hard to find, yeah. And then Zona says, yeah, I feel like I'm constantly asking for a good critique, but everyone just goes, cool. Yep, that's what it's like. You're like, that was really helpful. Thanks a bunch. Kim says, yeah, I had the same problem. It was near impossible for me to get crits when school ended. Ugh. What a flucky day. It's a new word, guys. You didn't expect that from our kid-friendly chats, did ya? Flucky. Studio says, yeah, Zona, if I wanted people to say it was great, I'd just post it to social. Exactly. That's exactly what you get from social media. At least, I feel like that's the expectation, that you're just like, okay, I'm putting this out here for you to see. But then there are some rude people who are like, I would change this, or they do a paint over without asking. That's the worst. But I agree that most people outside of a studio, I would say studio mates definitely will give you good critiques, but outside of a studio, near impossible to find somebody who's actually going to take the time and effort and make it like a good, worthwhile critique. Which is unfortunate, because that is the number one way that artists grow. Studio, oh yeah, it was, if I'm asking for a critique, I want to know how to make it better. If I'm asking for a critique, I want to know how to make it better. I imagine that's how you said that. Probably not, but it's definitely how I feel, yeah. Like, you're opening yourself up and saying, like, I am ready to hear the harsh truth. If you don't give me anything, then I'm going to feel like you're either lying to me or you don't have an eye for editing. But learning those people who will critique your work, like actually take the time to look it over. I remember looking over a lot of residency proposals, and that to me was like my gift to everyone applying, because I know that I would appreciate it a ton. So I think it just takes like people understanding that they would appreciate it themselves, and not that you would, you're not in the mindset to just get a yes man answer where you're like, yes, cool, yes, it looks good. I guess I'm kind of spoiled having James around, because he can critique my stuff every single day, every hour of the day. So if I need anything, I'm just like, hey, Of course, this illustration project that I was doing for my agency, I sent to him like twice at least to just be like, hey, so am I doing it right? Is this okay? Please tell me if there's any glaring issues because I don't want to embarrass myself in front of these people. And yeah, if I didn't have him, then it would be really hard to get that kind of instant like feedback. Is wonderful. So just marry an artist. Done. Senna says, finding a mentor has been one of the most confusing things that I've been trying to figure out. Absolutely. I actually just talked to the residents for next year about this, finding a mentor. And it was all about, I lucked into it, obviously, because Lee was a teacher of mine at school. But it was something that I think you have to look at artists that you want to have their career. And then we also came to the conclusion kind of all together that if they have experience teaching, then they are like way, way better at communicating and at giving you critiques, just basically doing everything a mentor should. So if they have teaching experience, like A+, but most of all, if they have the career that you want, then they can obviously help a bit in the arena. Although I remember seeing a talk by Mike Mignola. I don't know if I told you guys about this, but I saw him talk in New York, and he was getting questions about like, how do I get where you got kind of thing. And he was like, honestly, I lucked into it. Like so much of it was being around the right people at the right time. I really don't have much advice for you. And everybody was just like, but give me advice. And he's like, I don't have it, man. He's got obviously some words of wisdom and stuff like that, but like there is no step-by-step, at least from his side of things. Because he was literally just like, I walked into a studio with my friends who happened to be the like highest up people at a comic studio, and I got jobs. That doesn't happen to people. They don't just walk into comic studios and get jobs. It happened to him. Long says, I think the SVS forums are pretty good for critique. Heck yeah. You're still at liberty for whoever feels like responding, though. Yeah, exactly. You never know if you're gonna get some kind of feedback or the timing of it. It could be months later that somebody's like, yeah, I have the feedback. Long, do you know if the forums are open to anyone or is it just subscribers? I don't know. I've only had access through like instructor stuff, so I'm not quite sure what it looks like on the student side. I should check that out and like figure out what everybody's seeing. That would probably be good. I think my arm should be either more bent or less bent. Is that too short? I'm measuring with my fingers right now, which you can't see. So if that's the length of this arm, that would be this arm. Should my arms be shorter? I think for the style they probably should be, and maybe up here too. Oh, they're free. So yeah, if you guys want critiques, go to the SVS forums. Everybody there is like super, super awesome. They are all professional about like, we're doing it for the work, and nobody's like a troll or goofing or anything like that. Like they're all there for illustration stuff and they take it seriously. But they're all really nice also. So I would highly recommend if you want to get some critiques. Or just generally pose questions like, I don't know how to get a mentor or something like that. Like, have you guys gotten mentors? That kind of stuff. You never know where the answer is going to come from. I have a list of cool people I would love to have as mentors. Oh, that's so cool. And am friendly with on Twitter. It's just the extra question of how to approach asking. Totally. Also, the question of do they have time? Yeah. Lol, joining. Long says, I wouldn't even know how to approach someone about being a mentor. This. I was just at Creative South. Oh, Creative South. Who was there? It was Shauna Lynn. I love her. That I saw on Instagram was there. I was just at Creative South last week and met all kinds of cool artists, but it's a big ask. It really is, especially I feel like for young artists it's even bigger ask because they are trying to establish themselves. However, remember, you are offering them money in like return for a service. And if you were thinking about like at what point in your career would you want that kind of offer, then try to aim for those kind of, that person who's in that place. I don't think that you can ever offend somebody by asking for them to be your mentor. Like, there is no negative to it. It is literally just like, I really like you. I really want to learn from you. You have something valuable to teach. And can you please go on this journey with me? This journey of life. And the worst you can get is a no, and that's totally fine. The way I would ask, okay, let's go through this. Of course, Lee was super easy. He actually kind of asked me. He was like, oh, so you need a mentor for this thing? How about me? And I was just like, yeah, that's perfect. I think that's perfect. Let's see. But it's a big ask, yeah. She was hung out with Sid a bit too. Oh, awesome! Oh my gosh, I love Sid and Shauna together. I got to hang out with them at Icon, so I kind of have an idea of what that was like for you. They're really fun. But yeah, sure. Tell us your secrets, Anna. So yeah, Lee kind of asked me, but the way that the residency is set up to like make you ask for this is they have kind of a template of politeness. So it's what you would imagine of being like, hello, I am so-and-so from this. This is my background, paragraph. And then this is what I'm asking you, paragraph. This is what I can offer you, paragraph. Best, comma, your name. Signed with a bow. But it is all about being succinct, so you're not taking up their time, telling them almost everything they could ask in the questions, like what can you offer them. Of course, with the residency, it was really easy to just be like, this is literally copy and paste what Julia told me to offer them, because they had something like, we are starting with 3 months, so it's not a year-long thing, it's not this dedication. You have a stipend, which was, I believe, for every 3 or 4 months, it was $750. So that gives you kind of an idea. The way Julia described how much they came to for number-wise is that's a tip. Like, most of this is for the good of the resident. Like, the mentor is mostly doing this out of the good of their heart. And the stipend is like a little bit of money to say, thank you, we appreciate this, but it is not a lot. And mostly the mentors put in more time than they are paid for in general. But what they really want to see is the growth of the person and to feel like they are making this deep connection with you. Of course, the mentor has to believe in you. And that, I think, is the hardest part of the cold call is like, you don't know me, but I'm trying to talk you into this deep relationship that we're going to have. But you don't have to make it sound like it's a deep relationship at the beginning. You can just be like, hey, let's try this out. If we want to part ways afterward, we both have that prerogative. Like, it is totally set up for us to assume we're not going to see each other after 3 months. So we will only stay in this if we want to go further, both of us, that kind of thing. And then on top of that, they had incentives. Oh, good. I'm glad that's super helpful. On top of that, they had incentives for getting a free ticket to Adobe Max. And I can't remember what else, but it was more like an appreciation through some payments. For an individual like you to pay a mentor, I would expect for 3 or 4 months, $700 to $800. That's generally what it is. That's about what I paid for Ty Carter. And remember that these are working professionals who have years of experience. If you can find them, obviously. I'm assuming that you're finding somebody with years of experience. And you are helping them a bit with the money, you're showing appreciation, but you're also giving them the experience of being a mentor. And that is a good thing for everyone. So don't feel guilty for asking them. It is easily like, I just don't have time for that, I'm sorry. Like, that is a totally acceptable kind of thing. And in general, for cold calls or emails, you kind of have to just leave the door open for them to say no very easily. If you feel like, or if they feel like you are pressuring them to say yes, then it will probably not be a good kind of pressure. And I know you guys know how to be polite and everything. I wouldn't worry about that. But yeah, that's just my experience. I hope it does help. I cannot offer a ticket to Max. That is understandable, definitely. And that was a perk. Don't think that you have to offer anything other than money, or if they're open to something else, like maybe you can like leave the door open, like I'm open to any kind of compensation that you think I can offer you. But I'm willing to offer X amount. I would say like dollar amount would probably get their attention, to be like, oh, they're taking this seriously and not just asking me to do this for free. Again, imagine if you were in their position and just be like, okay, so if somebody asked me for this commitment of meeting every week for a hardcore critique of everything I'm working on, would I feel like they're taking advantage of me if they're asking for it for free? Probably, somebody just randomly walking into your life and being like, hey, tell me what I'm doing wrong every week. But if you are is saying, I'm going to pay you this amount that is competitive in the industry for this kind of work, then it shows that you've done your research. It shows that you take them seriously and respect their work. But Max is not necessary. God, all of that sounds so scary, but very heapful. It's not as scary as you think. Literally everybody is just a person. They're so much like you, it's ridiculous. Like, everybody feels scared to reach out. It just is a reality. I have no money, so that is the new challenge. That is always the challenge. That's the problem, is getting the money to do it. And that, I don't have any advice other than just try. Like, everybody's journey to make money sucks. I'm trying to do the same thing myself. Everything costs too much, and I think out of all the things that you would purchase in a year, a mentorship would probably be the most worthwhile of spending money on. However, it's not cheap. So you have to measure. Again, I would always fight for fiscal responsibility. If you're gonna miss rent to pay for your mentorship, don't do it. But if you can budget out, like, okay, if I don't drink those coffees, or if I make X amount off of this commission, then like it goes directly to this instead of anything else, you can save up enough to get to that mentorship number. I'm not saying it's easy at all. It sucks. But that's a lot of what drives you to be thirsty in every single, not thirsty, that's now a slang term for being like wanting people in a way. Anyways, not like that. I mean, being driven to, what was I saying? I got so distracted by that. Being driven to take advantage of every minute that you have with that mentor, because you're paying for it and you're just like, okay, I need to take advantage of this. So it does benefit you in that way. You don't waste time when you're paying for every minute. It's like a call with one of those phone psychics. Don't waste that time. Gotta find out what happens next week. Anna, what drives you to be thirsty? I'm listening to Lizzo right now, okay? There's a lot of stuff going on in the music video. So. Thirsty is the new hustle. Oh yeah. Hustle hard, stay humble, whatever it is. Yeah, I think I mean to say what will make you driven, but I say things that I don't mean. How to pay back awesome people for help when when I have nothing to offer. Yeah. It depends on what you can offer. I don't know. I'm trying to like be creative and think of like, what can you offer other than money that is valuable to somebody who's probably, they don't need a lot of stuff, You never know. Like, okay, so for example, maybe there's something like SVS. So SVS has multiple people in its ranks who are administrative, sort of. So there's like Merrick Garland? Garlic. Marand. What is his name? I know his name. Oh my gosh. He does all the art for the podcasts and the show notes. They say it every single podcast and I still am like just blanking on it. Anyways, he does like the show notes and the artwork for it. And here's his name. Tanner Garlic. God, what am I thinking of? Okay, so Tanner Garlic. And also, like, other people within the administration. Anyway, yeah, you guys know. Tanner Garlic. Anyway, so there are positions within the company of taking care of like more menial tasks because all the artists and the instructors are trying to get stuff done. So you never know. Say you reach out to Jake Parker or somebody at SVS and you're like, okay, so I'm in financial straits or whatever and I don't have much money to give you, but I can give you X amount, hopefully like something like 300, and then I can take care of some kind of menial task at SVS. Now I don't guarantee that would work or anything like that, but I'm just saying like that could be an offer that would work with a different company. I know that for SVS they have payroll and like want to obviously keep everything legal, so I don't know how they would deal with that, but I'm just trying to come up with ideas other than paying, because I know that money is the biggest wall to knock down, and that sucks. Really want you guys to get enough. You should be able to grow as an artist without having to pay an arm and a leg. It's kind of ridiculous that it takes so much. But them's the breaks, man. I would always advocate saving up with it in mind, though. Being like, okay, I'm going to do this with the money. Because I've definitely, like, done that thing where I don't have enough money for this, but I have enough money for bubble tea to make me feel better today. And if I had just saved up those bubble teas, I could have gotten another mentorship. I'm not saying that's at all your situation, but it's the way I was for a while. I'm not saying I had bubble tea every day, though. That would be too much. Bubble tea is a specialty item for me. Volunteering is definitely a good way. All I got is I'll buy you dinner or coffee, totally, which is not too expensive. I agree. I think that it is a good thing to ask people to meet up sometimes. Another thing is sometimes people, okay, so I met up with Christina Amini. She is this bigwig over at Chronicle Books. She's in the publishing world, and she was wonderful to meet with, really nice person, but she was so busy that I felt a little bit guilty of asking her out to coffee. And I did the meeting with Erin from the residency, which was a wonderful thing because then we could double up and get like the same amount of meeting time in, but not take up 2 amounts of her time. So we had a wonderful meeting with her. But I thought after that, if I were to do that again, I might just say, could you hop on a video call with me? Because that's so much easier than getting out and like going to a place. This is a big thing that a lot of my friends from LA have been complaining about too, is like people will ask them, hey, can you meet up for coffee because I'm finally in town? And then they give them the address and it's like 2 hours away in LA. Like it just takes so long to get everywhere there that it's like way out of their way. So consider that when inviting people places. What is easiest from their perspective? Is it hopping on a video call? Is it going to a place on their street? That kind of stuff. Is that an eek? Is that an eek as in a scary thing, or I don't know. But anyways, I know I am much more comfortable with video calls now, so I would be so willing to hop on video calls with people. That's what I did when I was talking to Anna from Patreon, was just like, oh, let's hop on a video call, and it was really fast. And also when you're making meetings like that, like set a time and date when you're talking about it in the email. Be like, hey, I would absolutely love to talk to you sometime this week. Do you have anything open? Or second email when they're like, yeah, I would be interested in a video call. Then you're like, okay, so 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or, always make sure that you know the time zones because everybody lives everywhere. Anyways, that's just my 2 cents. Sorry, I've talked a lot. I'm getting lunch with someone in Chicago about MoGraph next month. I'm so excited for that. Yeah! Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, meeting up with people is like, it's the ultimate test of getting out of your comfort zone. So you should definitely congratulate yourself for doing it. And also really rewarding. like after the fact. It sucks leading up to it, at least for me. I have a bit of anxiety about it, but I always feel anxiety going up to it, but never afterward. It's just like, okay, so I got through it. It's like talking to you guys, like maybe leading up to this stream, I'm like, okay, so am I ready? Am I ready to do this? Can I talk to people? And then like it happens and I'm like, oh, I've talked myself till my throat is sore. And like, I love meeting up with you guys and actually like feeling like I know you. This is more communication than I've ever had with my audience. So I absolutely love doing these. And it's that kind of thing where you feel like, I now have a friend in Chicago. I actually know somebody who is somebody's, connection, blah, 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 networking. I'm doing the thing. That is the best feeling once it's over. Oh my gosh, but I've been trying to get a video call beforehand, but it's a little difficult because work. Totally understand that. And that's a good idea too. It's like having multiple meetings. That really sets up a relationship where you've seen each other multiple times. I always feel anxiety. I'm so sorry. I know anxiety really sucks with social kind of careers, I guess. I definitely know that. And I think my lucky star is that I'm not more anxious, but I definitely feel like empathy for that because every once in a while I'm like, I can't pick up the phone right now. I can't do that. You kind of have to be kind with yourself and realize like, okay, if you can't, like, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. And sometimes during the residency, I definitely felt guilty because I was like, okay, am I taking full advantage of everything that I'm being offered? Am I going everywhere I should? Am I making those connections as hard as I possibly can? And sometimes you just have to be like, okay, I can't take every opportunity. I can't open every single door. And that's sad because you feel like, when am I going to have this opportunity again? Maybe never. But you're also keeping your sanity, which is more important. Don't push yourself. You are your best tool. So if you screw up that tool, man, it's kind of game over. So please treat yourself very kindly. And choose your battles, of course. Because some meetings are more worth it than others. Like, I really had to push myself to go to Bobby Chu's birthday party when I was in San Francisco. I was just so dead, and, like, I just want to hang out with my family and, like, not do any socializing. James made me go, and it was, like, literally this social networking event of the season. Like, every single artist I'd ever admired was in that room, and I just got to talk to them as a human being because we both knew Bobby. Like, how cool is that? But I was nervous as all get out. Not gonna lie. But I still had fun. Because people are fun. When you get past actually having to talk to them. Oh man. I love meeting people. I'm usually just anxiety about getting there on time. Oh, I totally feel that. I hate that too. I was a little bit late for the first meeting with Lee, and I also forgot like all of my files, but that was fine because he just talked to me about my style. Never even opened the laptop. Long says, it took me 2 days to recover from Creative South. Met all the cool kids though. Oh yeah. It's really important to save up your energy for traveling things. I totally feel that. I'm gonna have to save up when I am going to New York on May 5th to meet with the new residents and go to 99U, and that is going to zap me completely. So you guys probably won't see me that week. I won't be able to talk. And then after that I'm going to Hawaii, so that'll be my recharge, hopefully. But yeah, introvert, extrovert, everybody needs that time after a travel thing. It's just too much. It's too much of everything. Oh, the joys of being an introvert. So it was worth it. Yeah, I'm so glad it was worth it. I know I'm thrown off by being the cashier at work. So much conversation the whole day. Oh my gosh, yeah. Yesterday I went from an 8-hour shift to a meetup, so today was just me recovering. Oh my gosh, good for you. Like, dang, talk about hustle. Gosh. Well, I love talking, but I definitely need lots of breaks. You're talking to me, man. You're talking straight to my face. I totally feel that. And I would say I'm more on the extroverted side of the spectrum. But everything takes energy. Everything. And what was I gonna say? Oh, the work. Okay, so I was thinking about this the other day. I used to work at Forever 21, and there they have multiple roles. So cashiers were like the higher up, like slightly higher pay, I think it was too. And then everything else was just like sorting clothing, folding stuff and greeting people, and of course asking, do you need any help? So like all day I would be searching for the jeans that I knew there wasn't a size of, or trying to get specialty item for this teen who couldn't do anything else. Anyways, it was a whole thing, and I think my least favorite was definitely the greeting, and that was of course the first thing they put you on, where you're just like, you have to say hello to everyone who walks through the door, yay. And that was funny. I once saw my art history teacher come through the door with her gaggle of gal pals, and I was like, we just stood there for 10 seconds being like, you shouldn't be here. You don't belong here. What? And then we reconciled. Okay, you're here. We have to deal with this now. Anyways, I think that in a way that made me more social, because the wall of just breaking down, like talking to people, saying the first word, saying hello, became really easy. It was just my go-to of being like, hello, hi. I even think I said hello to people on the street sometimes after work, where I'd just be like, hello, good day. Yeah. Because I would lean into the talking to people. Now I completely lost what I was saying. Like, what I was saying was the rehearsed lines from the store. So I had all of the presents of like, hello there. And then I would be like, do you need a bag with that, sir? When I'm talking to a grocer or something, I don't just like, it made no sense what I was saying to people, but I would say it. So pluses and minuses of working in retail, but I could totally see it zapping all of your social energy and just being like, no, I don't want to see or talk to anyone else today, because that was too much. I'm going to make this hand into a fist kind of thing. Is that weird? Not sure. Oh man, cashier sucks. I actually never got to be a cashier because they kept training me wrong. So I would get like half a day of training, which wasn't really training. It was more like, okay, do this, and then do this, and then do this, and then don't screw it up. And one day I thought that all of the receipts went into the recycle bin, but it turns out when you pay with a credit card, you're not supposed to recycle those. So they were like, oh, hey, where are all your receipts for the day? And I was like, in the bin. And they were like, oh, girl, you suck at this. And then they'd never put me on register again. And so I didn't get that higher pay. I was always a menial task worker, and probably thought of as a really dumb one, because they thought, of course, you should know that. And I was like, of course I was trained wrong, so rude. But I am so, so grateful to not be doing that right now. And I think that if I needed to go to a job that wasn't art, like, I mean, I could very easily. This is the kind of like make it or break it moment where, like, if I don't make enough money in the next few months, then I have to get a normal job to supplement. I'm really hoping not to have to, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, I think I would go for a very different job than retail. I think I would kind of have to. I'm much more persnickety now about what kind of daily jobs I would do. I think a receptionist wouldn't be too bad, depending on where. And I've also thinking, like, if I could possibly get some kind of small bookstore, that would be probably the best. Don't know how often they hire at small bookstores, but I would love it. Excuse me. Oh, I'm past my time. I should sign off. James probably wants his dinner. We make dinner together, but, you know, he doesn't want to interrupt the stream most of the time, I know that. Alright, I'm going to finish up a few of the details on these little ladies, and then we can call it good. Definitely not perfect, but totally fine for what I'm doing right now. Got nothing to complain about. Except for that arm, that janky arm. Okay, I'm gonna read a little bit. Zona says, "Oh, I tell people thank you, have a good day, even if I'm the customer now." It is ingrained into you. I know that feeling. I'm only on cash register cashier 95% of the time. Opening and closing are easy. Oh my gosh, yes. Isn't it the best feeling closing? You're just like, get me out. I just hate doing the phone calls. I always screw up on something on a shipping order or gift card. Oh, when I have to do it over the phone, that sucks. Yeah, I've never done a phone thing, so maybe I'm thinking of it a little bit too nicely because I haven't done it yet. Also, counting back cash to 100. Oh my god, it's the worst breaking 100. Seriously. No, I totally feel that. Like, counting on. Okay, I also worked the register at my student store in college, and I am bad at math, guys. Like, real bad. I think I have dyslexia, at least a little bit, because. Well, also, the way I was taught math was like not the way that most people do it. So sometimes there would be another person working the register and they'd see me count out change and they'd be like, "What are you doing?" Because I'd be like, "Okay, so this is a 10 and then this is another 10, so it adds up to this, times it by this." You know, like just weird ways of doing it. And aside from that, I just sucked at counting because I would lose track of it almost every single time. So, yeah, I learned that about myself. I don't think I should be on register. Really don't. I was bitter about it at Forever 21 because they were judging me about like, "Oh, you shouldn't be on the register." And now I can judge myself and be like, I shouldn't be on register. Although there are certain satisfying things about it. I remember the week that I learned that older quarters, like before 1964, are solid silver. So you could look at the side of them and they don't have the line of copper going through it. That was a magical time because then I was like, I can look at every quarter and like count it and remember whether it's got copper or not. And I think we found like 2 quarters that were old enough, and then my coworker took them because I think you can sell them for like $3 or something like that. Silly. I miss being IT help. I've heard that IT is actually a really good gig. Sometimes it depends on if you're appreciated or not. But I think it could be good because then you have people who like literally appreciate what you do and feel like, oh, my computer wouldn't be working without you here right now. Plus, hopefully, you would get paid like whether or not there are issues. I think that's a good thing about it. So much easier helping frustrated college students print their finals due in 30 minutes. Oh my gosh, that's great. At least people brought me coffee when they saw me because they felt bad that I had to help them in their sleep-deprived state. That's awesome. I like zinc pennies. Those are so fun. I collect coins. Oh my gosh, Zona. Oh, I love it. I used to collect coins. My parents got me this booklet of quarters from across the United States. So, they had the state quarters, and I got, I think, almost all of them. It was pretty close. But I think I lost the amount of them. So hopefully Dad got that and actually spent it on something. Hopefully they didn't just go to waste. But yeah, I love the coin collecting world is a fun one, actually. They're lovable nerds, just like you, Zona. But what was I thinking of? I think that if you're unhappy in the daily job that you're doing, like, I don't know, it's hard to say because I always think it's worth looking for a different one, but then I don't want to take time away from the little time that you have to give to MoGraph. Like, I don't want any of that to be sacrificed, so I'm sure it's a catch-22 for you. Feeling like, but the precious little time, I need to spend it well. But, I think you're doing an amazing thing by keeping on the working train while doing regular work. It is what so many artists are having to do in this day and age because I don't think that art schools fully prepare you for the outside world, and also there aren't enough good jobs for beginning artists. Like, it takes so long to find one that treats you like anything. I mean, obviously, like, before the residency, I was not treated well at my job. Like, fiscally, I was making less than a normal job at a lot of points, which is not okay. Um, but the search for the normal job and everything is what kept me from going anywhere else. But I was thinking about it and I was like, okay, if I had the option of going back to that company or getting a regular job, I would get a regular job. Like, I would not spend my creative energies making things that I can't even show in my portfolio or get paid adequately for. Wouldn't do it. That's just me, though. And of course, things change. So, like, if the company changed and, like, there was more pay for the work, then I might consider it. Absolutely love my coworkers, of course. And even the company. I love the company. It's just the pay and feeling like it's appreciated work and that you can use it in your portfolio. Those are my, like, basic needs right now. Oh yeah, I had that. My favorite ones are the old ones that no one wants to use. Also, lots of $2 bills. I remember finding a $2 bill at the store too. That was awesome. They always fell out of my little booklet though. Oh yeah, the quarters constantly popped out. They sucked. But I loved having them. I'm just trying to finish all of the other things at the same time. I think I'm going to drop to part time instead of full time so that I can concentrate on other stuff. I support that. As long as you can make ends meet, that is wonderful. I'm also trying to make a UI UX portfolio so that I have a backup option, really in demand in my area of location. It's in demand everywhere. Oh my gosh, so much UI UX stuff coming up, like it's crazy. So yeah, that's a really good fallback if you enjoy it, of course. Also, presentation design, because that's a fun thing to do. Oh, I love it. That's awesome. Long says, I was treated bad at my last job, and the boss would always walk through the creative department and tell us how there's no better place to work out there for us. Sounds like the industry is pretty toxic. Yeah, that's fairly common. Don't ever believe it. There are better places out there, especially like the worst treatment you get. Yes, there is better treatment out there. It's so sad. Kim says, yeah, my games job, horribly underpaid artist. Oh my gosh, yeah. I'm gonna get a regular job at least for a few months. I support that completely. It's so silly that like a skill-based job we went to school for, well, some of us did, and like just takes so much time and effort is less appreciated than what you could do at a cash register. Like, what is that about? I have so many issues. You know what? We can change this industry. We're gonna make it better, okay? It's gonna happen. I'm trying to turn the presentation design into a side business while I develop the MoGraph portfolio. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Lots of startups here, so pitch decks are really in demand. That's awesome. I have too many ideas and directions upon reading those last comments. Lol. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad. As long as there's like a direction to move forward with, I think that is your biggest asset and will always serve you well into the future. Way better than crappy jobs that don't pay enough. Sorry, this one was weirdly shaped. Alright, I'm gonna call it. We gotta go make dinner now. So I will see you ladies on the next one, and anybody else, men, in the or whatever you call it, not chat, just watching from afar. I love you all, and I hope you have just the best weekend, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Next week is the last week of the residency for me. That's just insane. I think, right? Yeah, it's the 30th is the last day, so a little bit past that, but like not a lot. So it's gonna be kind of crazy. Tell a best friend. He has a hashtag, best friend Anthony. Oh, I will tell him that you miss him. He right now is in Seattle for SakuraCon, I believe. He goes to all these cons just because he loves consuming artwork. He is our best patron, guys. He loves getting artwork from friends and people he loves the artwork of, so how awesome. Thank you for welcoming me back into the fold and being so amazing. I will see you on the next one. Now I will awkwardly click off of this. Okay, goodbye!